Sea of Thieves, as a live service game, will regularly update the game with different content, skins and bug fixes. For those of you who are new, Rare used to release regular adventures. These came in two forms, the short form episodic story adventures of 2022 and the build rat adventures of 2018 and 2019. Two story adventures from 2022 were standouts, not because they allow players to alter the course of the story, but also because they included new mechanics like the build rat adventures. Lost Sands, releasing in May 2022, saw the Reaper's Bones and Athena's Fortune battle it out over the fate of Golden Sands. It would be saved and become Port Merrick that we see today, or if the Reapers won, a Port Merrick but green with a Reaper selling point. Return of the Damned began in November 2022, and the same factions fought to resurrect or bind Captain Flameheart. Unbelievably, Flameheart was resurrected but has yet to make an appearance. Lost Sands introduced Soulflame Rob Boats, which were removed and never to be seen again. These were rowboats that had armoured kegs on the back, had a unique paint job and lantern, and a cannon on the front. Return of the Damned added a capture the fort mechanic, tasking players with raising flags at the 6 sea fort to earn increased progression to their side's efforts in the struggle for the fate of Flameheart. Both were developed for a 2 or 3 week event and removed from the game. Many are miffed about this and they want them back, yet the mechanics have all been swept away by this. But what if, when Captain Flameheart does rear his beautiful head, we get these mechanics back as an update to the Hourglass? Starting with the Soulflame Rob Boats, they will be brought back as a new random spawn. In the lore, Flameheart would just want them back to arm the Reaper's Bones. These would be very rare spawns that have a healthy supply of cursed cannonballs, chain shots and blunderbombs, but no food or wood would be available in them. Other than that, they're back and they can be used in the Hourglass. It's an easy win for the sandbox tools, and people love them for non-adventure purposes during Lost Sands. But let's move on to the forts. The Hourglass system in Sea of Thieves has seen better days. Many new players quit because it's filled with hardcore PvPers, or there just aren't enough rewards between level 1 and 100 to make it feel like the grind is worth it. Bringing back the flags from Return of the Damned, let's call it Flags of the Damned, would be a way to bring Hourglass into a more organic and risky way to level up in normal adventure mode. The gameplay loop would be simple. You can choose to raise a flag for the Guardians of Fortune or for the Servants of the Flame. This works exactly the same way as before, but it's a physical item that can be picked up and can be acquired when voting on the Hourglass. You can then capture forts for your side, with just one needed to activate the benefits. You can then go ahead and do world events or voyages, or just wait for an opponent to invade you. You can capture between 1 and 6 forts, it's up to you how much you want to capture. So why should you bother doing this? The idea is to bring back a much requested mechanic and use it to revamp the Hourglass, specifically the defending and the organic encounters on the server, rather than just spamming dives over and over again. Defending doesn't really work all that well and is quite a tedious method of leveling up the Hourglass. Invading players would also benefit, as they can either take over the server themselves, or they can sell your fort flag that you drop for bonus allegiance and gold. The main goal is to create a use for the old mechanic, but also encouraging PvP around the forts, or even server-wide fights between factions over the forts. The way the forts are laid out meant that in Return of the Damned, it caused pinch points between the ships as they'll naturally come across each other. But how can a defender earn allegiance? The defender can earn allegiance by doing any of the 4 following things. They can raise a flag at the fort for a tiny bit of allegiance. We're talking about that of a loss that we currently have. You'll see why shortly. Secondly, you can lower your Hourglass, the same way as we do now. Thirdly, you can sink an enemy Reaper or Athena emissary on the map. The same applies to servants and guardians who are using the Hourglass. Lastly, you can defend against an invading ship. Some of you might say, but what about Alliance servers? Well, they cheese everything else, and there are multiple cheeses for allegiance already. There's also a lot of lost farmers rife in the Hourglass mode. We shouldn't, and Rare doesn't balance things around a tiny subset of players that ruin it for everyone else. The allegiance multiplies with the number of forts for any of the above actions. Don't forget that loot hauls would still apply on top of this, in the same way that emissaries work with the gold rush hour each day. Of course, this just isn't designed to make Hourglass a bit more in depth, but emissary play can work with it too. Athena and Reaper emissaries get a bonus to gold and rep for controlling forts, but they earn no allegiance unless they opted into the Hourglass. As the Athena and Reaper's factions are the slowest to level up, I believe it would be fair to allow both of them to utilise this as emissaries. And it gives another path into the hideout. And before you say Reaper's Bones are a PvP faction, they haven't been a PvP faction for very many years. Many people complained about the pace of Allegiance when playing, and nearly a year later in Season 8, I think it's turned more people off of Hourglass than it has kept them engaged. All the best players have their curses already, and even if you just put in a little bit of time over the last 11 months, you would have been rewarded with it already. I don't think the curses have the same prestige as before. I've seen a lot of people advocate for easy allegiance gains, and I think I'm in favour of this for the health of the mode. Lastly, as always, this would be a great opportunity to flesh out the cosmetics for both factions. We've yet to receive any more skeleton pieces since the curse was released, and the rewards from 1 to 100 are quite barren. Hell, the servants even have a title which matches with a Reaper's Bones title, and it hasn't been fixed since it came out. Add some clothing for both sides from 1 to 100, chuck in some Reaper skeleton pieces, some Ashen Lord pieces, and then the Burning Blade set for servants from 200 to 1000. Then Athena's Fortune can get the Magpie's Fortune ship set, the rest of Ramsey's clothes, and the White Ghost set. I think there's loads of life left in Hourglass mode, and I'd love to see it revamped in some way, and I want to see the Capture the Fort mechanics come back as a permanent fixture. Oh, and along with the Soulflame Rob Boats. I think this would be a great update for Flameheart returning. I know many want a world event with him, but I can't see it happening. We'll just have to wait until next year. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know if you want any of this stuff to come back. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.